Democrats need to make it clear that they do support law enforcement. I mean, I was the chief deputy county executive of Nassau County, where you just were, Mary. And I had a very professional police force that I believed in and that I worked very closely with. And I am still a big supporter of law enforcement. And I think that the defund police movement was the dumbest political movement in the history of political movements, frankly. Right? It actually set back the reforms that they were actually trying to get through. If it would have been reform the police, everybody would have been on board with that, right? But that was not what they did. So, yeah, I think Democrats do need to make it clear that they support law enforcement, that they support our men and women in uniform, that they support Border Patrol, that they support ICE, but not the tactics that are being employed right now. I think this mask thing, this making them look like thugs thing, is hurting them. It's hurting the effort. It's making it something like you pointed out, it looks like something out of a movie, and intentionally.
It might look like something out of a movie, but let's not forget what's going on the ground here, because I know reporters. I have a colleague, Jenny, who was riding around with ICE, I believe, a week or two ago. She said they were tailed the entire day. They were harassed the entire day. Whenever they got out of the car, it was uncomfortable because people were following and tailing them. Not only are these activists, and I feel like activists is the wrong way to describe them, because these are people with sometimes violent intentions towards ICE. So they're dangerous people. They are keeping track of their faces. They're taking photos. They're taking videos. They're tracking license plates. They're tracking hotels. They are putting these ICE officers in dangerous situations. And let's keep in mind, these are not just like robots or what are those things called in Star Wars? Stormtroopers. These are real people. These are young men and women, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters.
They should make themselves out to be real people then and take the masks off.
Keep in mind, they are real people who have to shield their identities.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. No. Because if they don't, they'll have pictures taken of them.
I'm sorry.
They'll have their identity tracked.
This is such a bogus.
I mean,
look, I've been a liberal in conservative media. I've been a liberal in conservative media for almost 20 years. Okay? People know my face. They know my name. They can find me.
That's absurd.
We the take havers are safe.
This is BS.
No,
I'm sorry. These masks got to come down. Look, the masks have got to come down. If you want them to be treated like people, they got to look like people.
While we're saying the masks should come down, I just like to mention, I spent all day yesterday writing a story about the rhetoric that Democrats are using to describe ICE agents. They're using all kinds of Gestapo and Nazi imagery to describe these ICE agents. Why? Because they want to paint them as akin to Hitler. They want to paint them as akin to the SS. Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, Gavin Newsom. I reached out to Gavin Newsom and said, do you regret painting these ICE agents as Nazis in light of the violence they're facing? And you know what his spokesman told me? He laughed and said that what else do you call people who go around murdering people in cold blood? So not only are they standing by this rhetoric, but they think it's funny and amusing, and they're enjoying spinning up Gavin Newsom's 2028 presidential campaign while they're putting people in danger. So there is no interest in backing law enforcement. This is a political game. This is a political ploy.
You should have a badge and your name and your face exposed. If you want to be referred to in negative ways, do what you keep doing what you're doing. Arresting people, taking Americans out of their home in their underwear. Right? Because you don't like the way they speak.
What? What? Are you kidding me? That's not why this is happening. Are you serious? Because you don't like the way they speak?
Was dragged out of his house in his underwear. American citizen. Dragged out of his house in his underwear.
You just said people are being dragged out of their homes in their underwear because of the way they speak? That is the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Proper English, according to their report.
No.
So this was the guy. I don't remember the exact circumstances. The position of law enforcement was that they were executing an investigation on an illegal criminal immigrant with a child sex abuse or something of that nature.
It wasn't this guy.
It was the wrong guy. Yeah.
ICE agents and Border Patrol officers are not behaving like regular law enforcement.
You saw that video yesterday.
There are people who kick out your taillight behaving like a normal protester, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look at the video we saw from yesterday. By the way, that was from 2 weeks ago. That was from the BBC, a BBC affiliated journalist who caught that footage accidentally. How many other incidents like that do you think we haven't seen or have been captured as accidentally or will come to light in future days?
Here's the thing, though.
It's not unusual for these
what
attacks
he
on ICE
did
to be
in that
happening.
incident
In fact,
of the
there
has
has been
nothing to do with why he was killed and the incident that happened that day. Has nothing to do with it.
There has been a 4,000% increase in attacks on ICE officers in these recent weeks, partially due to the fact that the media is kind of glorifying people like Renee Good, who are ramming ICE officers.
There's been no attacks on ICE officers until Trump decided to use them like this, put them in masks, make them look menacing. I mean, I don't understand the mask.
They're carrying out the deportation of illegal immigrants that people voted for when they made Trump the president. You can protest that. You should record it. I'm all for civil libertarian things. You can't, and I worry that the idea is being normalized among the protesting class, maybe institutionally by groups, maybe just informally. I don't know how formal this kind of activist education is at this point, but the idea that if you think it's illegitimate, use your car to block the way. Push officers out of the way, get in their way. And that is all bad advice that has already gotten people killed and will continue to do so.
Well, this is what happens when they don't cooperate, when they don't make a deal with the local authorities before they come into the jurisdiction, right?
Or it's just what happens when local authorities won't back federal
You got
officials.
look.
I mean,
but Mary, you've got to
names.
actually, before you send 3,000, masked agents into a region, you need to have cooperation of local law enforcement for the protesters. In New York, this would never happen in New York, right? Even if they didn't have a deal with New York would make sure that the protesters stayed away from, because we have a system here to do that. When you have a jurisdiction like Minneapolis that is not accustomed to these kinds of activities, although they should be over the last couple of years to an extent, but they have a much smaller force. It's very difficult, and there should have been coordination between the federal government before they went in. I don't understand what the rush is, right? And if they thought that they were being, not cooperative, there are political means to get them to cooperate. You don't just throw the army in there and say, you're going to do what we want. We have we have dual sovereigns in America. We have federalism. We have the 10th Amendment, and it needs to be respected.
Absolutely agree with you. It just, I would like more information, but it seems like there was not a desire for cooperation.
But that doesn't mean you just
part.
do it. You got to. Donald Trump's supposed to be the deal maker. Make a deal. Go make a deal, or put political pressure on them to make them come to the table. He didn't do that. That's what normal presidents would do when they want to get something done.
The political pressure was, okay, if you're not going to deal with us, then we're sending in national law enforcement to do whatever we want, and then you can come to the table and say, well, we'll assist you in this. And then it won't look like a civil war. To Stephen's point, it'll look like,
well, either way, politically, this has destroyed Republicans. The voters are going to take it out on them. Done.
I don't know about that.
I think
this is going to be.
I spent all my time.
A bloodbath for congressional Republicans.
I spent all my time with legacy reporters, and there's nothing they love to do more than say, this is the thing that's tanking Republicans. This is the thing that's
this and everything else.
And look, I'm sorry, I've heard it too many times. This specific incident, Alex Preddy, Renee Good, they didn't portray, they're not shining a good light on this ICE mission. They're not shining a good light on President Trump's deportation efforts. But how many times has Trump taken an issue like this and turned it around and been completely fine? So many times. So
can I tell you what it is, Mary?
It's a little too joyous of people to jump on it and say,
it's the accumulation of chaos. Everything that this administration has done has appeared chaotic. His policy towards Greenland was chaotic. His response to the Epstein files, chaotic.
I think here,
Chicago is chaotic. Los Angeles is chaotic. Minneapolis is chaotic.
He's got to do what, he's got to do what.
Chaos.
Okay, but the conservatives want a lot of those things, and they want the deportation. I think where they might have hurt themselves here more than they needed to is that the statements from the not actually even from Trump himself, but from Noam and others were, and maybe it's just my view, and maybe no voters would actually feel like this, but just got way over their skis they could just say, I don't know why they couldn't just say, oh, it's sad somebody got killed. We'll do an investigation. We don't like this. It's absolutely Democrats' fault for not cooperating with us, but we're going to look into it, and we don't want this to be the outcome. Rather than, well, he was a domestic terrorist who came at us with a gun, which was instantly disproven.
Ridiculous.
So that's where it gets them into trouble, I think.
They are asking us to believe things that, that are opposite from what we are seeing. And America's seen enough. They've seen enough. I'm telling you.
Chris, maybe you've seen enough. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, my point is along those lines.
Okay, Stephen, go ahead. Stephen, go ahead.
Well, my point is along those lines. I think it depends which voters, which audiences you're talking about. I think MAGA voters are going to continue to trust the president, and obviously most Democratic voters are going to oppose him. But for swing voters and independent voters who are more questioning of authority and don't take everything they hear as sacred, they are going to lose their trust a bit in this administration because of how the narrative has not lined up with the video. That has some consequences, but Chris, I don't think this is going to be the issue that causes the 26 midterms to swing one way or another. I think
it's a cumulative effect.
Yeah, I think there are larger forces at play, including the fact that the parties have reinvented themselves over the last 10 years, and actually Democrats are now the high propensity voters and Republicans aren't. It used to be flipped. And so in a midterm election, that just gives Democrats a bit more of a built-in advantage. I do think this trust issue will impact independent voters, and that will be a factor going forward.
We've got
if you keep making sense like that, I'm going to have to keep on. I'm going to have to break out my Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation to throw you off your game a little bit.
I welcome